I've been here before.
Practice?
I don't want to work on practice.
What's the distance you do? Wow, that's pretty good. Right, well done. That's part of the Wonderfull team.
Yeah, it's part of the team.
You guys get onto the pavement on the other side, slightly to the right.
Il est pas en HLM celui-là.
So guys, welcome to the most beautiful bridge in Paris. Absolutely stunning, isn't it? Now this bridge was built to celebrate the 1892 alliance between France and Russia. Paid for by Alexander III, the Tsar of Russia at the time. It's rather inventively called Alexander III Bridge. So let's start with the ladies at the top corners. Real gold or fake gold? Fake gold.
Yeah.
They were real gold. People started climbing up them at night to scrape the gold off. They are now fake gold.
Yeah.
Let's start with the naked lady with the sword up here. She represents the war that they used to have. That's France and Russia. Opposite corner, clothed lady with an olive branch. The olive branch is quite obvious. That symbolises
Peace.
peace. There we go. Somebody said olives once. I thought it was quite good. The two ladies with trumpets are celebrating, announcing this new relationship to the world. Now they're on top of these columns, partially for aesthetics, partially for function. These columns are full of lead. This was the first single span bridge over the river, so they needed an enormous amount of weight to stop it from slipping out and collapsing. It was also the first bridge with electricity. These beautiful Art Nouveau style lamps, very organic, sea-like plant forms coming out. Right. Now this bridge was built for the 1900 World Exposition. So let's imagine, like most people of the time, you've never seen electricity before. You come across this bridge lit up at night. It would have been absolutely spectacular. Nowadays, for its beauty, it's a really common spot for particularly Asian wedding photos. We have lots of this on the bridge. We also get a lot of skinny, angry looking French models. Across the other side, we've got two palaces. One of them's big, one of them's small. What are they called? There we go, exactly. So on the right, we've got the Petit Palais. We've got some Impressionists, some Picasso, a beautiful open-air cafe in the centre. It's great, but I will say, if you're interested in Impressionist art, Musée d'Orsay blows this out of the water. It's my #1 museum recommendation in Paris. We'll see Musée d'Orsay further down the river later on today. Nice little fact for you. The roof of the Petit Palais weighs over 4.5 times as much as the Eiffel Tower. Difficult to believe, but the Eiffel Tower had to be light so they could keep on stacking it up. Most of the support columns are in fact hollow. They simply didn't, so they made it out of solid sections of cast iron. It weighs over 45,000 tons. Across the other side, the Grand Palais, one of my favourites. It's a massive space, one big space. They usually have one big piece in there. We've had some great fun stuff. We've had a foam party, we've had a silent rave, we've had Tony Hawk's on the largest boat ramp in Europe. My personal favourite last year had to have been classic American movies and classic American cars. And a 1950s style drive-in theatre set up in there. Go sit in an old Cadillac, and at midnight they started showing Jaws, Psycho and The Big Lebowski. Very cool. Now, one of my other favourites, they did it 2 years ago and they put setting it up in December again. They flooded it a couple of inches, froze it and generated a giant ice rink in the centre of the street. Very, very cool. Now, most of these buildings were built along with this bridge for the 1900 World Exposition. However, both of these buildings were supposed to be torn down after 20 years. They were supposed to be temporary structures. Thankfully, they've been kept. I think they're absolutely iconic. Any questions, guys? Cool. Right, very good. So, guys, we're going to continue over to Harmony Square, Place de la Concorde, talk about blood and death.
You okay?
So that, you okay? We're fine, guys. He's alright. No broken bones. So far, right outside, guys. Here guys, we're across this crossing to get onto the pavement on the right on the other side. So we're continuing on across, we're moving slightly to the right onto the pavement on the other side. So being that we're here, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to set this space up the front here. Come with me. Right. We're going to take all the space over here and walk everywhere. There we go. So, you're going to do the super domination style, guys. We're going to wait for a green light, then we're going forward and left across the square. Stay in a nice tight group, guys. Forward and left across the square. Has anyone seen the movie Braveheart? You know that line there, they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom. Freedom, that's the one. So I'll shout, they may take our lives, they'll never take. You guys shout freedom! Go forward and left across the square, yeah? Right, just wait for green, they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom! Alright, guys, let's go.
It's like, I thought we were dominating this.
There we go. Does anyone need a toilet?
No, I'm pretty good.
Excellent, you shaved yourself 7%. Yeah. Alright guys, so, Colony Square, Boston, la Concorde, only so called to gloss over all the blood and death that's happened here. Let's go back to 1755. We start as Louis XV Square. Louis XV wanted himself a square, so he built one, him being king, with a big copper statue of him right in the middle where the obelisk is now. Revolution comes around, they rename this place Place de la Revolution! They chopped down the statue and they melted down into coins without the king's head on them. Then they start chopping off people's heads here. So it's time for my 3 trick questions about the guillotine. Trick question number 1. Who invented the guillotine? The trick question is it's yeah, you can say it in Chinese, you can say it in English. The trick question is it's not Dr. Guillotine. Dr. Guillotine recommended its use. Now previously rich people died well. They had a sword or an axe to their neck, that's considered a good way to go. And it was compared to the way they killed poor people. They were much more inventive with poor people. They drowned them, crucified them, pulled them apart with horses, hung-drawn and quartered, poured molten lead inside them. Some horrific place to die. So Dr. Guillotine recommended the guillotine as a fair, an equal, a humane way to kill people. Trick question number 2. Was Dr. Guillotine for or against the death penalty?
Against.
Against? Trick question. So against? Now, funnily enough, the guillotine's born out of the conversation in 1791, 2 years after the start of the French Revolution. They get together and they say the death penalty is cruel, it's harsh, it's barbaric. The answer was not, let's not do it. The answer was, let's do it better. Trick question number 3. How did Dr. Guillotine die?
Guillotine.
Old age in his bed. Here in this square, 2,000 or 3,000 people lost their heads. This is 10% of the 20,000 to 30,000 people guillotines during the French Revolution. Now, this includes all the famous guys you'll have heard of killed here, Louis XVI and his wife. Very interesting. Now, I feel incredibly sorry for these guys. As we've talked about thus far today, Louis XIV, Louis XV did whatever they wanted. Spent all of the country's money and plunged France into a massive crippling national debt. Versailles cost 10% of GDP for 50 years. However, there's another large factor here. Do you remember in 2010 there was an unpronounceable Icelandic volcano that erupted covering Europe in ash? The same volcano erupted in the 1780s. So 1789, year of the revolution, mass crop failure. A loaf of bread cost an average month's salary. Then comes this quote from Marie Antoinette. Now, cake is not the delicious stuff we have nowadays. Cake is the stuff that falls off in an oven and makes that black mess on the floor. Now, there's actually no evidence she said this. It pretty much was a piece of political propaganda, a cartoon in which a servant runs in and says, "Madame, the people are starving, what do we do?" And she rather offhand says, if they don't have bread, let them eat cake. As I just said, there's no evidence for this. People believed it though, and they marched out to Versailles and they grabbed Louis XVI and Mary Antoinette. 1793 saw Louis XVI lose his head right in the middle where the obelisk is now. 10 months later, Marie Antoinette on the right-hand side of the entrance to the Tuileries Royal Palace Garden. Now they were killed in different places because they were killed at different times, and they had to move the guillotine every 2 months because there was so much blood it would sink into the ground. I cannot overemphasize how disgusting the square was. Cattle would refuse to come in because of the smell. After 10 years they gave up doing guillotines, so they all got them out of the mess, and they moved all guillotines outside the building. Now a couple of shocking facts. When do you think the last public guillotining was here in France? Pick a year.
So the 20th century.
Yeah, absolutely. 1939. Go and watch somebody have their head rolled as a public spectacle. 1977 was the last private guillotine within a public punishment for a crime that I couldn't go and watch. 1981 capital punishment was banned, but it was the preferred form of capital punishment all the way through to the 70s. Now to gloss over all this horrible history, blood and death, they renamed the square Harmony Square. Much square, and they redecorated it. We've now got this very distinctive obelisk in the middle. It's arguably the oldest thing in Paris. It's 3,200 years old. It comes from Luxor in Egypt, and was it gifted or was it stolen? It's a very controversial issue. Every year the head of state of France receives a letter. Can we have our obelisk back, please? Every year France replies,
No.
no, it was a gift. Real gold or fake gold?
Real.
Anyway, with both here we got real gold on top, a fake gold inscription.
Yeah, I know that.
The
You get a
base,
little metal.
huh?
You get really little metal.
Oh, absolutely. Basically, if it's accessible, it's not easy to trick.
Oh,
At the base there, you'll see an IKEA-esque how to erect an obelisk instruction manual. They shipped it in 1829. It then took them 4 years to work out how to get it from lying down by the river to standing up in the middle of the square. So they left us an instruction manual just in case we need to. Now my favourite story about this place has to be, in 1993, an anti-AIDS campaign group at 6 o'clock in the morning unrolled a giant condom of the whole thing. They liked it so much they left it there for the entire week. Now across the other side of the square, left-hand side, you'll see some horrific construction. This is Hotel Crillon. It's one of the most expensive places to stay in Paris. A room can cost you upwards of €10,000 a night. However, there is one way you can stay here for free. One grand sporting event finishes right here every year.
Tour de France.
There we go. The winner of the Tour de France gets to stay in any room they like without charge for the entire week. Lance Armstrong has recently received a bill. A 7-week stay at on the €475,000 he has yet to pay. Any questions? Right guys, we're going to continue along the right hand side here. We're going to go to the Louvre on the other side for our further stay.
Oh, there it is.
That's better than
Yeah. You get a water out there.
Right then, welcome to the loo. Have you guys been in?
Yeah, I've been in.
So,
Oh, what do you think? Huge. That is the adjective that I'm looking for. Yep. This is literally the largest palace in the world. 210,000 square meters. 8 miles of corridors, 35,000 pieces of art on display at any one time. However, they like to put up more. If we include all the other pieces of art not on display, that's 340,000 pieces of art. If we include transcripts, objects, archives, over 1 million things in this building.
Oh.
So let's be conservative. We'll just see the art on display. We'll just spend a minute, 30 seconds on each piece. You're going to be in here for over 12 straight days. That's without any sleep or breaks. So I'll tell you a little bit, guys, but please, if you're going to come back, do a bit more research, find out what you're interested in, see it, get out before this museum swallows your entire holiday. Let's start on the right hand side with the den and wing. This is the oldest part of the building and contains the most famous stuff, including
Mona Lisa.
What do you guys think of the Mona Lisa? Yeah, that's most people's impression. Now, personally, I find it very powerful, but I love to make fun of it because people expect it to be this. We've also got the Venus de Milo and the Wings of Victory. That's the 3 most famous things in the Louvre. They're all on the right-hand side over here. At the back, the Sully Wing. Lots of ancient Roman, Greek, Egyptian, African art and sculpture. And on the left-hand side, the Richelieu Wing. Here we got a Mesopotamian exhibit and the personal apartments of Napoleon III. Napoleon III lived here for a while. He set up some lavish apartments. You guys can see in original footage. They are the definition of opulence. Now, just to clarify, Napoleon III was Napoleon Bonaparte's nephew and step-grandson. Good, glad I cleared that up for you, fantastic. No, I don't think so. So, Napoleon Bonaparte's second wife's previous daughter was married to Napoleon Bonaparte's brother, making Napoleon III Napoleon Bonaparte's second wife's previous daughter's son and Napoleon Bonaparte's brother's son. How
many times have you said that?
You know. Now, this is the most visited museum in the world, with over 10 million people coming here every single year. They're really struggling just to physically get people in and out of this building. So, we see the second bastard of Paris, the pyramids. What do you guys think? Do you like it?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It does not suit.
That's most people's complaint about it, absolutely. Now, there is a second reason for disliking this building that I can agree with, and that is the cost. It was supposed to cost 100 million euros. Supposed to. However, as soon as they started digging underneath there, they discovered a lot of stuff they couldn't just JCB through. This used to be the old fortress wall of Paris running through here. Then we had the Tuileries Royal Palace, the home of the kings, which in fact completed this rectangle across the front. This used to be an enclosed space. That section was burnt down, so they had to get the archaeologists in. It took a lot more time and a lot more money than it should have. The target was 100 million. How much do you think it actually cost? 1.3 billion euros. So I can understand why the French don't like it. Now, if you guys are going to go, if you come back sometime, don't go to the front door, massive waste of time, enormous queue. A couple of secret entrances for you. Just behind these two ladies here, a couple of sets of stairs go down. You go through them all past the atrocity, which is Starbucks and Apple, which in my opinion really shouldn't be here. So a perfectly valid entrance gate. You can buy your tickets downstairs. You do not need to go to the front door. You do not need to queue for it. Now, the thought that I always like to leave people with here is, can you imagine being Louis XIV, growing up here in the largest palace in the world, and going, nah, I think I can do better. I'm going to build Versailles. This was not a grand enough home for the ego that was Louis XIV, and so he moved his entire royal court out to the gaudy monstrosity which is Versailles. Any questions, guys?
So who was it that this was built under?
Right, that's the thing. You don't have to bog people down too much because this, the Denner wing, started in 1190, but these sections were in fact completed in the 17th century. So basically, as each new king gets in, he puts a new wing on his palace. So basically,
really wanting a new wing, you build a whole new palace.
Exactly. There we go. Perfect. But basically, every single king built upon this palace made it a little bit bigger.
Leave like something on the other end.
Yeah. Damn, I missed over there. Yeah, exactly.
No, I did Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, that's why you have lots of servants, though, isn't it?
Well, for me, anything this big, it's so ridiculous. It takes you so long to walk.
Yep. I mean, 8 miles the corridor, as I was saying.
Yeah, it's like this.
It's nuts. That's longer than our tour today.
Yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It is. Absolutely.
Now, is that a fountain in the middle, or is that the
That's the pyramid.
the under? Yeah.
Which is real. That's one of the few parts of that book which actually does exist.
Yeah.
However, everything else is not so true.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a pyramid that goes down to the centre.
So is the buried
No, sorry. No, then we get into complete fallacy. Definitely took a lot of artistic liberties, shall we say that. Any other questions?
I always want to know why is the Mona Lisa so famous?
Right, okay, so there's several reasons for this. First of all, she is emotional, shall we say. She is not the taut formality of the previous portraiture. So that was the first thing. The second thing is because she's smiling. She's kind of emotionally engaging with the viewer, and that was really, really controversial. Secondly, she's not rich. She's not of any person of importance, which was the only possible reason why anybody would possibly get a portrait before. So who's this nameless person over here? And lastly, my favourite theory about it is that it's actually the artist himself as a woman. It's my favourite theory about it. Probably not true, but basically it was kind of against the traditional style of portraiture at the time. Because she was smiling, because she was poor. She may well have been a prostitute as well. Ooh,
Yeah,
couldn't possibly
because
bet
you
that.
didn't paint people that weren't of importance back then.
Exactly. There we go.
Okay, yeah.
So that's some of the reasons. Absolutely.
That was totally off our theory, but it's good.
Oh, go on. What's your theory?
Oh, we just thought it was. Who's the artist?
Da Vinci.
Yeah, we just thought it was like a lost painting that they found, like in a house or something.
Oh, I see. Right. No.
That was our theory.
No, not quite.
Yeah,
But there's some
no.
great stories about it. My favourite thing, it's been stolen a couple of times. My favourite one was an Italian guy who worked here, and he simply locked himself in the bathroom until everybody else had gone. This is pre-security cameras, right at the start of the 20th century. Came out of the bathroom, tucked it under his arm, and just walked out. And he basically stole it to make copies of it, and he sold over 12 copies as originals.
Oh my god. Jesus.
Right then, so we're going to exit in this direction over here. Loads of people here, guys. We're not dominating tourists and small dogs, no rush at all. I'm going to gather you guys back up at the top. We'll have this amazing view down the Champs-Elysees. I'll mention that there. So take your time, guys. You're going to turn right over here. Guys, just briefly mention this amazing view we have behind us. Now, at the far end we got the Arc de Triomphe. The Arc de Triomphe was started by Napoleon Bonaparte. He had a very successful battle in 1805. He said to his troops, "Well done, I promise you, you'll come home under triumphal arches." So they started to build the Arc de Triomphe. However, they very quickly realised it's too big. It's huge. It's 45 metres across, 50 metres high. It's so big. During World War II, a daredevil flew their plane through it. They hadn't got a chance of finishing it on time. So they built the Arc de Triomphe de Carousel on the other side. This was ready by 1806 when his troops came home. He got to keep his promise. His troops got to come home under this triumphal arch. The Arc de Triomphe itself wasn't completed until 1840, 19 years after Napoleon's death. And the same year, you may remember, his body was moved over to the Dome Church. They in fact paraded Napoleon's body underneath the arch, which he never got to see finished during his lifetime. Last thing I'll point out here is a mistake. Perfect symmetry, all the way out, even outside of the city, perfect, perfect, perfect. Oops, the Louvre is slightly off. Just slightly. Now this annoys them so much they did a feasibility study to see if they could move the Louvre to get it to line up bang on. What do you think the result of that study was?
Nothing.
Exactly, not a chance. So they put a statue of Louis XIV, carved, looking fantastic, just to complete this line of symmetry that runs all the way out the other direction. So close. Any questions, guys? Gonna head out to the river in this direction then. Take your time, love. guys are going to cross the bridge, turning right on the other side. However, we're going to be nice to pedestrians, so once we cross the road, we'll hop off our bikes and just walk ourselves across the bridge here, just to be nice to Frenchians. That's a cool girl. These cars, I like that.
Did we get it?
Back on, guys. Looking to the right after right now. Right, let's go.
En el norte.
So guys, welcome to the Burj. Now, this used to be a road run alongside by the river, as you can probably tell. And it was only last summer that it was opened up as this public space. So during the day, particularly Sunday, that's why I want to take you guys down here. We got lots of fun stuff for kids, exercise. This is where they come on a weekend to come and enjoy themselves. It's absolutely fantastic. And they created a pedestrianised zone that runs all the way from here to back to the Eiffel Tower. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, exactly. Lots of fun stuff. They invited a whole bunch of individual artists to come down and do whatever they want. We're about to pass the chalkboard on our left, which they wipe off every day, and then people come and chalk whatever they want on it. It's absolutely fantastic.
Every Sunday?
Yeah, oh no, every day.
Oh, every day.
Absolutely. Now, because it's Sunday, particularly lively down here, and that's partly why I want to take you guys down here. It's absolutely fantastic to see the Parisians doing their thing on a weekend. Now, from here, I can point out Love Lock Bridge. Now, there are in fact 3 of these in Paris. If you like, you buy yourself an extortionately marked up lock, write your name on it, lock it to the bridge and throw the keys in the river. That's the idea. Or as 2 of my guys did last week, said, you keep one, I'll keep one, just in case. However, if you believe this ensures your relationship in some way, you are sadly wrong. For structural integrity reasons, they can't let these locks build up forever. As you can imagine, these bridges were simply never designed to take this much weight. So every 2 years, they come along with some bolt cutters and they chop all the locks. Don't even trust your relationship for 2 years, you'll see some combination locks up here. Put your code in, get it back, get it somewhere. Personally, I find the symbolism of combination locks hilarious. Now, from here I can also point out my 2 favourite museums. Number 1, Musée d'Orsay, this beautiful train station looking building up here. Looks like a train station because it was built for the 1900 World Exposition. It then sat entirely empty between 1926 and 86 when it was renovated and reopened as Musée d'Orsay, the best collection of Impressionist art in the world. Monet, Manet, Van Gogh, this museum is quick, colourful, accessible. I absolutely love this museum and thoroughly recommend it. You can do the whole thing in about 3 or 4 hours, whereas the Louvre's going to swallow 12 days of your life. As we carry on the right hand side, in the Tuileries Royal Palace Gardens, you'll see L'Orangerie, a long triangular roofed building. This contains 8 of Monet's water lilies. They're set out in 2 oval rooms exactly how he intended, giant 30-foot pieces. He basically created a complete 360 panorama of water lilies. So you're both lost within his mind, his art and his gardens. It's absolutely fantastic and you can do that in well under an hour. So that's the d'Orsay and the L'Orangerie, my 2 favourite museums in Paris. So guys, we're going to ride this all the way back to the Eiffel Tower and we're not going to hit a car crossing or anything else. But we are going to be nice to the Frenchies today, there's no rush at all. So we're going to go single file, really take our time. Nice and quiet, no rush at all. We're going all the way up.
I'm pretty fucked, so I'm not going to leave.
Cool, isn't it?
Mais au parc, il y a bien des fontaines.
Yeah, hey. Just stay behind him. He knows what he's doing. I'm starving. Il avait un truc, il y a une exposition, tu vois, il y a des Oh yeah. What did you choose to eat?
I got the tomato and mozzarella salad.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I got that.
Because I thought it was the right thing to do.
Do you get the snails?
Peut-être tu peux y aller en courant si tu as de chance.
Way round Thames. Pardon? Are you going all the way round Thames? It's doing a different tour. And it's not yeah, and he's only doing
I saw some guy in London who had it wasn't a unicycle, it had one wheel, but he basically just stood on either side of the wheel.
Oh, it's got a motor.
Yeah, no wheel.
It's got a solo wheel.
Yeah.
They're like segways, but even more difficult because you've got nothing to grab onto.
Yeah.
So it's all about balance.
How far are we from where the French Open is, the tennis?
Oh, that's just outside of